Hi everybody, welcome to Dram Daddy Whiskey. I'm Dan, and tonight we are going to be trying a newer limited release from a distillery that's trying to put Maryland-style rye back on the map. We're talking about Sagamore Spirit Rye Sherry Finish. Sagamore has been around since 2017, and their goal has been to re-popularize Maryland-style rye. But what is Maryland-style rye? The answer to that question is really hard to pin down. There doesn't seem to be a specific recipe or flavor requirement or mash bill that makes something a Maryland-style rye. What different distilleries that are all aiming to make a Maryland-style rye agree upon, however, is that the rye is supposed to be sweeter than most ryes, less spicy, and maybe with a creamy sort of butteriness to it. But this is a finished rye. And I love finished ryes. But the thing I usually like about finished ryes is that sweetness from the finishing cask really makes the spiciness of the rye stand out. So will a sweeter style finish on a sweeter style rye really work? Let's find out. Let's read a little bit about the whiskey we're about to enjoy. So, Sagamore Spirits Sherry Finished Rye is at 106 proof, 53% ABV. This is a blend of straight rye whiskeys finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry barrels. Pedro Jimenez sherry usually is a little bit sweeter than different types of sherries that are often used for finishing casks like Oloroso. And some notes on the back are 4-year-old straight rye whiskey spent an additional 18 months in 132-gallon Pedro Jimenez sherry barrels, resulting in a spirit with velvety notes of toasted almond, dried fig, and soft spice. First released as a distillery exclusive product in 2019, our distillers were committed to bring back this complex and layered whiskey for the world to enjoy. It is distilled in Indiana, bottled by Sagamore Spirit. My understanding is that Sagamore's flagship rye release is a blend of MGP's 95.5 rye and then a blend of their lower rye, higher corn percentage rye mash bill as well. But we know that each of the ryes that they are using for this is at least 4 years old, and that they are then finishing it for 18 months, a year and a half, in Pedro Jimenez sherry barrels. That's a pretty long finishing time for any American whiskey other than an American single malt. Sagamore's been doing a really good job of keeping their lineup pretty fresh. They periodically release different finishes on their standard rye whiskey. And every now and then, in addition to finishes, they also release some other one-offs, like they've recently had the 8-year-old rye, the bottled in bond rye as well. On store shelves right now, it's not uncommon for me to see the sherry finish, the rum finish. They also recently had a Manhattan finish. They've had a port finish. They've had all sorts of finishes. And in their core range, they also have a double oak product, which is a finish. But enough about all their other products. Let's try this one. Sagamore Rye Sherry Finish on the nose. Wow, that is nice. It's all the sweet notes of like an MGP rye with capturing a little bit of its essence without getting too spicy, but then with these ripe, red, strawberry, plum, pomegranate notes on the nose. It's almost like the base rye spirit like starts to want to turn toward a little bit of that piney fresh scent that I often pick up in MGP's rye, but then the finish kind of gums it up with this syrupy sweetness that also has a little bit of like a tangy sour note to it as well. I'm picking up maybe a little bit of a dusty note, not so much that it's getting kind of nutty or anything like some sherries do. It's rich, it's complex, it's sweet. It's a really great nose on the palate. I actually picked up a little more oak than I was anticipating on that. It's like a syrupy sort of oakiness. And then the finish, I'm getting some of that rye kicking out. It's hard for me to focus on much else I picked up because that oak was so surprising. But on the finish, the rye's coming through a lot more than it did on the nose. A little spicier, a little spiky. And then that sherry finish comes through quite a bit as well. It's this rich, luscious, rounded, dark sweetness. Now I would have expected it to be brighter based on the nose, like black currants or something. It's quite good. Second sip. On the front palate, it's sweet, but it's darker than I expected and that I've experienced before. Maybe my palate's a little different tonight, but it's almost like if you whisked in some hot water with an intense maple syrup and then drizzled that over like mixed berries, like blueberry, blackberry, raspberry. Kind of whip that up all together. So it's got those sweet notes, it's got those dark notes, it's got a little bit of oak in there. It's not tannic or drying at all though. And you got the rye spice that comes in and kind of kicks things up a little bit. It's almost effervescent in its spikiness on your palate. It's definitely not the star of the show, but it's there. It's accenting kind of the rest of the whiskey. It's like if you cooked down plums and spiced them heavily with like a little bit of clove, some allspice, and then watered that down and mixed it with some high rye and tossed in some wood staves to bake it. It's almost like you're drinking a dessert dish with a lot more going on than just sweetness. I also normally get this kind of odd tang off of Sagamore Rye's standard product, and I'm not getting that at all here. I imagine it's probably a combination of both the higher proof and the sherry finish that's kind of washing that away, rounding it out. I think I picked it up a little bit on the nose initially, but other than that, no, and I can't find it again. So I think this is very much an improvement on Sagamore standard product. It's really just absolutely delicious. This might be blasphemy, but I really don't think I'm going out on too much of a limb to say that I think this is better than the latest release of a Midwinter Night's Dram. Better than Act 9? I don't know. But better than Act 10? Yeah, I think so. So what do we score this absolutely delicious whiskey? Easy, 9.2. Absolutely fantastic. A lot going on in here, all of it good. The more you think about it, the more you can change your opinion about what exactly you're picking up in here. The different sweet notes, the spice notes, the oak, it's all great. You can pick apart the base spirit, you can try to pick apart the sherry, or you can just enjoy the combination of the two. Wonderful job by the folks at Sagamore. What grade are we gonna give this release? It took me a while to find this in my area after it initially released, but now I see it everywhere. And it's priced pretty well. You can get this where I'm at from around 70 to 80 bucks. And that price range for a 106 proof finished rye that's actually really good is a pretty good deal. Sagamore Spirits Sherry Finish gets from me an A. It could be an A+ if this release window lasts a little bit longer than I'm anticipating. My guess though is that in a month or two we're not gonna see this anymore. It's gonna be hard to find it anywhere. But if not, and if they're still pushing this stuff out and it's still this good, A+ for sure. Am I spot on with this, or am I a freaking idiot for saying that it's better than a Midwinter Night's Dram? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Let us know if you have any thoughts on this in the comments. And until next time, cheers.